Welcome to the CDG BizCast. I'm your host, Christian Gonzalez, co-owner of Creativity Design Group, a digital marketing firm in Houston, Texas. In this episode, we will be speaking to John Dwyer, known as JD, the owner and founder of the Institute of Wow. The Institute of Wow is his own marketing firm, which specializes in direct response marketing. This type of marketing involves wowing potential prospects by making irresistible offers that are too good to pass up. Some of JD's clients include major names such as News Corp, 7-Eleven, BP, Westfield Shopping Centers, and KFC. He has even worked with comedian and actor Jerry Seinfeld. Welcome, JD. It's a pleasure to have you on BizCast today.
Thank you very much for having me as a guest, Christian.
Yes, my pleasure. The small business world needs more mentors like you because in a cutthroat world, standing out and wowing customers is of paramount importance to small business success. And this is especially true for startups who are trying to become household names.
Yeah, look, I'm going to have to make sure I play that segment of this interview to my wife, that the world needs more of me. I think she would disagree with you. But yeah, look, in terms of the small business world, I guess the mantra that we have, my business is called the instituteofwow.com. So it's all about, showcasing to businesses how to wow factor their offer to get more clients. And really, most small business owners have gone through some sort of training, whether it was an apprenticeship or whether it was college, and they've come out the other end with very good technical skills. No one's ever been taught marketing when they go to college. So if they go to college to become a dentist and they spend 3 or 4 years there and they come out as a great dentist, but no one's ever told them at college how to get clients, how to get customers. And so therefore I say to them, look, marketing is the number one talent that you really need to either access or you need to have. And what we've found with small business owners is that they're very good technicians, but they don't have the time to implement marketing ideas. So what we tend to do now is do it for them. We provide them with done-for-you customer attraction ideas, and they're all direct response. In other words, you advertise on Facebook today and you get a response tomorrow.
And what you described is what I always tell every other business owner. I've mentioned it many times in other BizCast episodes, that you can have a skill, a great skill, and you can monetize that skill. In the example you gave, it's a dentist. When you decide that you no longer want to work for somebody, you want to take your skill and make a business out of it, now you've got to learn the business side of things. Other examples I've mentioned in other episodes include, if you want to start a pizza shop, you might be great at making pizza, but do you know the business side of running a pizza shop, such as marketing, working with vendors, customer service, how to price each pie that you make, knowing what your cost of goods sold is and how you make a good profit, things like that. I talk about this all the time, and marketing is one of those things, because unless you are hiring people and you just decide you want to be a solopreneur, you're going to have to learn marketing on your own. Whether you went to school or not, you've got to know how to market if you want to be in business. Please tell us more about the Institute of Wow and specifically what services you provide to businesses.
The example that you just gave then where, the technician of the pizza parlor needs to understand marketing, and I agree with that. Good example was a little country town I lived in many years ago in Australia. Of course, with my accent, you've probably worked out I'm from down under. And this little country town had 5,000 or 6,000 population, and there were 2 butchers in town, and they were absolutely opposite each other on either side of the road. And one of them I got to know quite well because I ended up playing a bit of sport with him on a weekend. And he said to me, look, how do I distinguish myself from a guy across the road? Because he's always cutting his prices. He's beating me on prices. And I said, we don't want to go down that path because it's a race to the bottom. Why don't you just have a sausage sizzle outside your shop at school pickup time every afternoon? And the moment that the children will, find out that there's a free sausage sandwich outside that butcher shop, when mum picks them up from school at 3 o'clock, there's one place that they're going to tell her to go. And I won't drag the story out, but the fact is that within 6 months, the other butcher shop closed. And I'm not happy about that, by the way. I don't like to see anyone closed, but the other butcher shop steadfastly stuck to price discounting, whereas the more entrepreneurial butcher shop, courtesy of my training, had a sausage sizzle outside his butcher shop every day between, I think, 2:30 and 4:30, and he cleaned up.
Very interesting. It's little strategies like that help small businesses or competing businesses in general stand out in that cutthroat world. And we see it all the time. When you go to the mall, in the food court, they often have employees standing outside of their restaurants handing out samples of whatever type of food they're selling. And that's pretty much what this was here. Having that sausage sizzle, it allows people to come in and sample the product. And then, they're going to tell their friends about it. They're going to feel compelled to come into the door and buy some more so they can have some to take home. It's little things like that make a big difference. That's a very good strategy.
Yeah, well, look, you can take it to the next level. We have a package. And as I said, look, we realized I used to be in the corporate world, so I was doing the marketing down under here for McDonald's and 7-Eleven and Rupert Murdoch's newspapers and, a whole bunch of others. And around about a dozen years ago, I said to my wife, look, we're not getting any younger. Why don't we actually use the IP, the intellectual property that I was, charging quite a few dollars to the big businesses for, and swap over to the small business sector and give it to them? Now, my wife told me I was crazy because at that time, a dozen years ago, we still had a couple of our 6 children at school. And she said, no, stick to your knitting. She didn't want to take the risk. Anyways, it's turned out that's what we did. And it was an interesting learning curve because I came from boardrooms the week before to now talking to small business owners who obviously didn't have a boardroom, and they had a different mentality to marketing, and they had a different budget restraint. They didn't have the dollars that McDonald's have got to spend on marketing. And so what we found was that they were not after advice so much. I mean, they thought they were, but they never implemented anything, no matter how much advice they got from Anthony Robbins or me or anyone else. So what we did is we changed the business to a done for you. So these days what we do is that we provide small business owners with packages of direct marketing ideas that we press the button and it's done for them. And we don't charge a lot of money for it. I'll give you an example of one, and it's called the Facebook contest formula. And I can't guarantee much in life because I don't know whether the business owner is running a good business or not, but I can almost guarantee that what I'm about to tell you will double your business overnight. And what it is, it's a Facebook contest that you run, and the prize is your product or service. So let's just say you were a dentist. Let's go back to the dentist one because we're doing them at the moment. And you wanted to sell your $5,000 invisible braces. Okay, so there's invisible braces out there, what they call clear aligners. And what happens is that the children put them on their teeth for whatever period of time, 6 months, 12 months, and it straightens crooked teeth. Now, what we're doing at the moment, we have a client who is a dentist, and we're running a contest on Facebook for him. And he's saying, listen, if your children have crooked teeth and you might like to win this $5,000 value aligner, invisible braces. Okay, it's not the metal braces, it's invisible. And he got 950 entries within 6 days. He only spent $30 a day, so therefore he was getting his entries for around about 25 or 30 cents. And that means that when he gives one of those prizes away, he's got the other 900 people who entered glowing in the dark screaming, my children need braces. You don't enter a contest to win braces if you've got straight teeth.
Wow, that's a very creative way of promoting these invisible braces. I mean, that's very innovative. Many people just don't have this level of thinking, like they know what they're doing when in terms of being in business, but they don't know how to take their marketing strategies and create something out of the box like that. And that brings me to my next question for you. Now, I know that Jerry Seinfeld helped you smash records for one particular company using direct response marketing strategies, and I'm going to ask you more about that in a minute. What exactly is direct response marketing, and what makes it different from general marketing strategies?
So look, direct response marketing, I guess as that term sort of infers direct response, it's all about advertising today and getting a quick response. Back in the day and even now, if you go to a marketing agency that has the fountain in the lobby and it's got a very attractive reception desk area and there's some BMWs parked outside, there's a good chance that they will tell you to build your brand. And that's fine. Of course, we all buy Kellogg's and we all buy Nike because of the brand. But if you're a small business doing maybe a few $100,000 turnover, then, you can't spend money building the brand because you've got to put food on the table. I always say that, if the business owner comes home and tells his children around the dinner table, look, we got 300 likes today, I think the children will say, Daddy, that's great, but we would like some food on the table, right? So direct response marketing, if it's done properly, you can advertise on whatever you advertise on, whether it's, Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or the newspaper or radio, whatever it might be. You advertise today and you get an instant response, whether it's good or bad. And, most advertising agencies will say, look, get them to fall in love with your brand so that they will taste your product. What we say, get them to taste your product so they'll fall in love with your brand. So it's exactly what you said before. It's the calamari outside the seafood shop. And the best way of doing that is to offer people an incentive. Because if you are a business owner and you are in a Me Too industry, so you, for example, have solar panels and every other solar panel company looks pretty much the same as you, then you don't have an organic wow factor. If you're the iPhone, the Apple iPhone, you have an organic wow factor. There's no one like you. But if you are in just about, anything else, then I bet your competition looks very similar to you in terms of their products or services. So we tell people to give an incentive. Okay, if you don't have an organic wow factor built into your product or service, then create an artificial wow factor. And the best example of an artificial wow factor is a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. I've got 6 children. They're all grown up these days, but at one stage we had 6 very small children and they were very noisy in the car. And I gave McDonald's $7 billion to shut them up because we would go through the drive-through and get 6 Happy Meals, not for the hamburger, but for the toys. So if you have a Me Too product or service, come up with a Happy Meal toy and distinguish your offer from the guy across the road who's price discounting.
Wow, that's a very different perspective of putting it into. And it's also a very good example that I believe everybody can understand because we were all fans of McDonald's Happy Meals when we were that age and we always wanted the toy. So for all the small businesses out there who are trying to think about what they can do to really wow their customer base, think of it this way. You're offering your product or service and that Happy Meal toy, what can can you offer in terms of a metaphorical Happy Meal toy that'll draw people in to really partake of your services even more? And I see this all the time, especially for as seen on TV products. A lot of time that Happy Meal is, if you order now, we'll throw in a second one of whatever it is they're selling for free, and then they'll also cover the shipping. They'll give you free shipping. That's an example of one type of scenario. But what did you do specifically for Jerry Seinfeld?
Well, with that, it was a gigantic Happy Meal toy. So Jerry helped me break home loan records here in Australia because we gave away, Happy Meal toy. And I'm teasing because I'll lead you through the story. A client of mine in Australia was a bank, and it was called the Greater Building Society, which is the same as a bank. And whilst they were a pretty big business, they're 250th biggest business in Australia, they were nowhere near as big as the big 3 or 4 banks in Australia, which was like the Wells Fargo. We don't have Wells Fargo, but anyone in America would relate to the fact that that's a big bank, or Bank of America. Okay, so therefore they were the big guns, the 40-ton gorillas. And when I came on as a consultant, I said, look, you guys are small players compared to them. You must be on drugs, because they were promoting home loans at 6.2% or whatever it was at the time. And the Wells Fargo Bank would be 6.1% within an hour. You're never going to beat the 40-ton gorilla on price. It'd be like a little corner store trying to beat Costco across the road. It's just not going to happen. So I always say to people, why do you go down that path? You're not going to win that race. So what you should do is forget about that and come up with a Happy Meal toy. So I was doing some TV infomercials for a travel discount company. I introduced them to the Building Society, and we came up with an idea, and that was get a home loan and get a free vacation. And the moment we turned that on TV and social media, the thing went nuts. They had a call center at the time of 15 ladies. They had to double that to 30 straight away within the first week. The phones just rang hot from people who were disgruntled with their bank anyway, but never really thought about leaving because they just got comfortable. The moment they saw on television, get a home loan or swap your home loan from the Wells Fargo Bank across to us and you get a free vacation. And we're talking proper vacations. I mean, if you had a $500,000 home loan, you went anywhere in Australia. If you had a $750,000 home loan, you went to Disneyland. Okay, so they were very, very attractive, destinations. And it went so well that they took an extra $15 billion in the first few years. And this idiot who you're talking to, Christian, didn't do a percentage deal. I just charged a monthly fee. So I'm not that smart after all. I only would have needed to charge 0.0000 of 1% of their increase in home loans, and I would have bought Hawaii. I wouldn't have gone there. Anyway, about 3 or 4 years into it, I got Jerry Seinfeld to become the spokesman. I won't bore you with the details of how we did it, but I annoyed him enough for him to say yes. And so I'd fly backwards and forwards to New York, and Jerry would stand outside a fake Greater Building Society branch. We built a Building Society facade in a little country town close to where he lives in the Hamptons. And so I'd fly backwards and forwards for 3 years, and we had Jerry Seinfeld standing outside the fake Building Society saying, get a home loan, get a free vacation. Can you imagine you've got something that's already successful and then you slap Seinfeld on top of it? It broke all the records. It just went nuts.
Wow, that's a very interesting story. Yeah, I can see exactly why all of a sudden their image had just did a full 360 with Seinfeld. Everybody knows who he is. His sitcom was very popular back in the 90s. He's a famous face. Celebrity endorsements can always help boost a brand's image, and I've always felt that they're pretty successful. We've seen it with many other companies as well in the past. Going back to direct response marketing in general, what sort of businesses should consider using this type of direct response marketing strategy? Is there a proven formula for direct response marketing?
I'm biased, so I would say every single business. I mean, if you look at Amazon, they do it. If you join their Prime membership club, you get free shipping and free movies and free music and so forth. And Kellogg's have been doing it since the Flintstones toys that I used to collect. The irony is that 97% of businesses in the world have never, ever tested direct response marketing in the sense of offering incentives and stuff like that. So if you go to a sushi bar, they will give you points, and when you save those points up, you get more sushi. Now, they're on drugs. Okay, that is stupid. You can only eat so much sushi. So whilst they do that because it's cheap and easy for them to do, if they swap that tomorrow to collect a number of sushi points because you're eating at the sushi bar and you get a movie pass for 2 people, not for one, that means you're a loser. So it's got to be for 2 people. It would double the impact of that straight away. The most successful direct response incentives are the ones where the actual incentive has nothing at all to do with the product. What does a toy got to do with hamburgers? What does a vacation have to do with home loans? Nothing. And I'm a member of, in Australia, an organisation called ADMA, ADMA, and it stands for Australian Direct Marketing Association, and it's the same thing in America. And the incentives that always have the best results are the ones that have absolutely nothing at all to do with the product, but they have everything to do with actually satisfying the needs of the target audience of the product. So if I was to walk into a shop to buy a shirt, I'm a baby boomer, and they gave me a skateboard, that would be stupidity.
Would you say that there is no specific defined incentive that's the most powerful? It really depends on who they're they're catering to, it basically boils down to what type of business is the company in and who are they catering to. The incentive is based on what they're interested in, and it doesn't have to be related to whatever the main service offering is or product.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's message to market match, like all advertising, and you're running a digital agency, so you're very familiar with this, but it's all about having the right message to the right market, and of course at the right time. You can't sell Christmas cards on Boxing Day. However, there is a number one incentive that beats everything else like 50-fold if your audience is over 18. If your audience is over 18, then nothing comes. I've tried everything: microwave ovens, skateboards, bicycles, refrigerators, you name it. I've tried the whole lot of them, right? And the one that stands out is the Seinfeld one, and that is a vacation. And the irony was that at the end of that, I got contacted by a travel company, and they said to me, this was just before COVID, and they said to me, look, we've got access to unsold resort rooms, hotels and resorts all around the world, Las Vegas, New York, Orlando, Texas, you name it. And these hotels are running at 30% vacancy outside of school vacation periods. So outside of Christmas and Easter, they've got 30% of their rooms vacant. They're happy to give up those rooms for free in the hope that whoever stays there as a freebie guest might spend money on food and beverage, because that's where they make their big money. And they said, listen, we're a travel company. We're not sure what to do with this. Would you like to join forces with us and maybe, pay a royalty fee? I said, hallelujah, because I knew how to do it. So that's what we have. We have a system now whereby we provide businesses, big and small, a vacation voucher that allows them to use that as a Happy Meal toy, and they give it to their customers, and their customers get a 3 to 7 night vacation in Vegas or Orlando or San Diego or the Grand Canyon, you name it, and Europe. And we charge them about $50 for the voucher, and it's worth about $1,000. So therefore, that's like rocket fuel. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you actually say, buy my product or service, whether it's a lawn mowing business or whether it's a furniture company or whether it's a dentist, we've got A to Z clients right across the board who are using it as Happy Meal toy. They give us $50 for the voucher, but the reason it works is because not only is it travel, and that's appealing to all ages and both sexes, but also, guess what? They are paying just $50 for something that has a perceived value of $1,000. You see, that's why McDonald's works, because that toy, they make that in China for 20 cents, but when you buy the Happy Meal, then you perceive that toy is worth $4 or $5 in Kmart. If you give someone a $1,000 voucher for, accommodation at a resort, and you've only paid $50 for it, shut the gate. It's all over. You've got the most powerful incentive in the world.
Yes, that's right. So would you say that incentives are meant to help take people's eyes off of the overall price to help them focus more on the proverbial Happy Meal toy?
Absolutely. The Greater Building Society ran that promotion for 10 years. They only stopped it when I left. I left and moved on because, as I mentioned to you, I think before we started the recording, I decided to move from the bigger businesses down to smaller businesses. So when I left, they brought in a new advertising agency. And guess what that advertising agency stupidly did? They got them to go back into the price discounting war, which was just madness. But for 10 years, we ran that promotion, get a home loan and get a free vacation. Not once in that 10 years did they ever advertise an interest rate. And there'd be the odd branch manager that was out there with their 100 branches would be at a meeting with me, and he'd go, JD, can't we just, not give the holiday to some people and just give them a break on the interest rate? I said, no, that'd be like McDonald's saying, so the Happy Meal is $8 with the toy, it's $5 without the toy. Okay, you can't do that. You will destroy the promotion. It's got to be get a home loan, get a free vacation. And they stuck with it. And of course, record numbers. The thing is at the end of the day, if you are going to have an incentive, then make sure it's for everyone. If you wanted to put a particular time limit on it, you can. But in the Greater Building Society's instance, they found that it worked so well that they got 10 years out of it. I mean, you think about Kellogg's. I mean, Kellogg's have been doing this for 50 years, right?
That's exactly right. The days of cereal box prizes, which, you don't see that too often these days. I haven't seen a box of Kellogg or any cereal offering prizes for a while, but the Happy Meal factor, it's a proven concept. It works. And other businesses out there really need to understand it. And the way you described it is just so perfect. It put a new perspective on it in my eyes, and I'm hoping that it'll put the same perspective in others as well. So you can't just merely sell your services without some sort of benefit. I tell clients all the time, it's all about differentiating yourself from the competition. Everybody browses Google Maps for a business selling, roofing or plumbing or electrical, or they're looking for a retail shop to buy clothes. But how do you choose the right one when they all look the same? The majority of them all have 5-star ratings. Some of them might be a little bit lower. How do you do it, right? You offer a Happy Meal toy.
The reason that the vacation one works is because it is appealing to all ages. Okay, so you can be 23. I mean, I've got 6 children, and my 25-year-old used to go to Vegas. I mean, Vegas is not exactly around the corner for us, of course, in Australia. So he and his girlfriend flew to Vegas, and they used one of my vacation vouchers. I don't think, his name is Shane, my son, I don't think he knew what I did for a living all the years that he's growing up, but now I'm the best dad in the world, of course, course, with these vacation vouchers. Yeah, so that's a 25-year-old. It's just as appealing to a 25-year-old to get a travel benefit as it is to an 85-year-old. So if you've got a wide target audience in terms of demographics, then you ain't going to ever beat a vacation. The ones that come second, third, and fourth, because I've done them all, the second most popular one is fuel discounts, as in gas discounts, okay? Well, when I say discounts, vouchers, okay? So you get so much petrol, so much fuel. The third one is dining vouchers, and the fourth one is cinema vouchers. So the reason that they all work is because each one of those four incentives is appealing to an 18-year-old and an 88-year-old. And just with your question a moment ago about, look, is it meant to take their eyes off the price? Absolutely. And the Greater Building Society was the only bank in the world that not once in 10 years do they ever advertise an interest rate. Can you imagine a bank not advertising an interest rate on their home loans for 10 years? I mean, that's unheard of. And wait for this, they were the most expensive interest rate in the world for 10 years. So I was able to get them to lift their interest rates and get out of that price war, charge BMW prices for their home loans, and no one ever complained. Because guess what? To an adult who wanted a home loan, that Happy Meal toy took their eyes off the interest rate.
Right. It's the little incentives that help alleviate some of the more negative side of things, such as high prices and high interest. And the thing about that is that I know I would never go to a bank that didn't tell me what their interest rate was, because I don't want to sign up and not know it. I'll be charged a lot more than I was expected to pay later. Anytime you take out a loan, you're expected to pay interest, but I want to know specifically what the rate is.
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. Obviously, no one took out a home loan without knowing the interest rate. I'm just saying we didn't advertise the interest rate. So obviously, when you went into the bank or the building society in this instance, yeah, you signed up to 6.4% or 5.3 or whatever it was at the time. So no, I'm not saying that there was an invisible interest rate. Everybody knew what they were signing up for. It's just that they were so turned on with the free vacation to Disneyland, by the time they sat down with their bank manager, the interest rate, no matter what it was secondary.
Right. And that's all that mattered in the end, was that they were still able to benefit from conducting business with this bank, getting these loans. That, being able to travel was just too good of a deal to pass up.
Oh, yeah. Look, they had hard nipples by the time they were sitting opposite their bank manager or whoever they were talking to. We had one just before Christmas, and it was a car dealership down under, and I designed it for him. He said, oh, we'll give it away when someone buys a car. I said, no, nobody's going to buy a $50,000 or $60,000 car because they get a 3-night vacation, but they will take a test drive. I said, how many cars do you normally sell out of every 10 test drives? He said, 3. I said, okay, well, in that case, if you're buying the vouchers for $50, then you can say, take a test drive and we'll give you a free vacation. And if you have 10 test drives, that's 10 times $50 you've given us, that's $500, but you sell 3 cars at $50,000 a piece, that $150,000 return for $500 out. Do you think that's a good deal? Of course it was. He ran the promotion. They've been operating for 23 years. It was the best 2 months in 23 years.
And I can certainly imagine. I mean, even I would probably take some test drives for something like that. That's pretty incredible. All of this advice that you've shared with us on today's episode should help all the small business owners out there put these incentives into a different perspective, and they can see the difference between just merely offering their services and offering their services with a little something extra they just can't say no to. That just makes the offer look a little bit more attractive, or I would say 1,000,000 times more attractive. I'm going to get ready to close out the episode. Before we do, is there anything else that you would like to say or share with us that we did not cover that you feel that our audience would find useful?
One thing that might be worth 2 or 3 minutes is that we've just launched an AI GENIE service. Therefore, it's a robot that answers the phone for small businesses, particularly tradesmen who can't get to the phone because they've got their hand down a toilet or they're on the roof of a house. And it has exploded. We only launched it just a couple of weeks ago, and it has gone nuts, from hairdressers to restaurants to gymnasium, personal trainers to tradesmen. They can't get to their phone. And so what we've found is that by having the AI robot answer the phone for them, and obviously the AI robot sounds like a human, so therefore 78% of the people that we've tested think it's a human, has a conversation with them. If the person rings and says, I want 3 ceiling fans and an air conditioner, the robot says, that's fine. Can you give me your name and details? And we'll have someone out there at 3 o'clock tomorrow. It's a full conversation. And what's happening is that where previously, particularly trades and hairdressers, were missing 40% of their calls, now they're getting 100% of those calls answered. And of course, whatever their conversion rate is on that 40% that they used to lose, that's going straight to their bottom line. And I think in the world that we live in now, which is AI, if people don't embrace this sort of technology, it's not ChatGPT, it's way, way forward than that. If they don't start to, sort of recognize that this technology is there to help them, they're going to fall behind.
I don't think you could have summed it up any better. That's exactly true. People do need to keep up with the times. AI will help businesses, both small and large, serve their customers better. I've heard that from one other person in the past, exactly what you said, that it's important to be able to have somebody to answer the phone, and even if it's an AI AI machine. It'll help make sure that every lead is nurtured and they're taken care of, because every time that you're not available to answer the phone, those are leads lost. They're going to call another competitor, give that company their business instead, and you just lost out simply because you weren't near the phone to answer it, or you weren't at your email or your chat bot to tend to that customer when they had questions.
Latest stats that I looked at, only 31% of people will leave a voicemail for a tradesman. So if you're ringing up to get your toilet fixed, or you're ringing up to get ceiling fans, and he's on the roof, and so therefore he lets it go through to voicemail, only a third of people will leave a message. The rest will just go to the next person they found on Google. And so therefore, we had one company, he's an electrician and looks after air conditioning. He said that he had 2 or 3 Filipino ladies answering his phone, and if it was a hot day and people's air conditioners broke, he would get 100 phone calls. The girls could only get to 60 of them because they would answer it and put someone on hold, but because there's only 2 or 3 girls, by the time they got back to the person on hold, that person had left. So he said they had a 40% abandonment rate. Now that we've got the robot answering the phone and having a discussion with people, 100% of the calls are answered. And because he knows his conversion rate in that 40% that was missing, he said it's added $15,000 profit per week to his business. And you know what he's paying us? $297 a month. So he's paying us $9.90 a day, and that's over a week, I guess 7 times 10, about $70 a week, and he's just added 15 grand a week to his business.
Wow, talk about a return on investment. That's incredible.
Yep, pretty good. And although I'm a baby boomer, so therefore one would probably not expect to be down the rabbit hole with this. I'm in advertising, I'm in marketing, so obviously if the Ninja Turtles are the hottest thing in town, then you jump on the Ninja Turtles. Well, this AI stuff, of course, has been the hottest thing in town for 2.5 years, and we've spent 8 months and quite a bit of money on building this. The response we've had to it is absolutely incredible, because most small businesses just can't answer 100% of the incoming calls.
That's one of the perils of being a solopreneur, first-time business owner. Just like myself, we had to wear all the hats. We had to be in a million places at once. And that's when you start to realize you're not an octopus. You don't have a bunch of arms, all involved in different areas of business. If you can't hire any employees, you kind of have to be. But this solution right here certainly takes care of that major problem, not being able to answer the phone. And where can people find it and sign up? What's it called?
It's called AIGeniePhone.com. AIGenie, that's GENIE, AIGeniePhone.com. And yeah, when people go on there, when you ask me the question, I can tell them to jump on there and do a test call so they can actually have a conversation with a robot. It's not a rotational system, so it might be a male or female. I mean, in this instance, you can choose whatever nationality you want. So when we have people come on board, they can choose American, they can be English, they can be American, they can be Australian. You can choose the personality trait. And because I'm a bit cheeky, I've tested it against Paul Hogan, Crocodile Dundee sort of cheekiness, and it's wonderful. So therefore, if you've got a plumbing problem and you say to the robot, oh, look, I need a plumber very quickly because my toilet's broke, then she will come back and go, oh, well, you can't sit on the throne at the moment, can you? So, if it happens to be an accountancy business, you can program the personality to be more corporate. It is just incredible. And the interesting thing is that when people come on board, we don't get them to fill out a taxation form because they won't, because they're a plumber. So we just get them to have a 10-minute conversation with the robot. The robot asks them all the sequence of questions that we need to know. Do they have any special promotions on at the moment? What's their website? Do they have a Facebook page? Blah, 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 blah. And at the end of that 10 minutes, the robot knows more about their business than they do. And within 3 days, then this is up and running. And what they've done for $9.90 a day, they've just employed the smartest person in the world to answer their phone.
Wow, very advanced, incredible. And I would like to end off by asking you this final question. Does it come with a Happy Meal toy?
It does. Guess what? When they join up to the AI Genie program, they get 50 free vacations.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. There's going to be a link in the description on all versions of this episode where it's uploaded, where you can go and sign up for AI Genie Phone. I want everybody to go and check it out. It's a great tool. It'll help them increase their lead nurturing quite a bit, because the end customer is not going to understand why you weren't available to answer the phone. If you're busy, if you're a one-person shop, you're on the roof, like you said earlier, or you're just away and can't answer the phone, it's a great solution to make sure that any potential leads that come in are nurtured to without you even being there. It doesn't get any better than that.
Imagine trying to find a human to work for you 24/7, who never gets sick, never is in a bad mood, never goes outside for a cigarette break. That's why this is so incredible, because it's a 24/7 person. And I say person, obviously it's a robot, but it sounds exactly like a human. And in fact, our research shows that 78% of people who actually are talking to the robot believe that it's a human. They don't understand. But by the way, no one cares anyway, as long as they've got the plumber coming out to fix their toilet. But 78% of people believe it's a human. And yeah, always in a good mood, always answers the phone 24/7, and it's $9.90 a day. It's pretty crazy.
Exactly. It's very advanced. And you and me have both covered the benefits over why small and large businesses should have a phone phone system like that, it'll really help make sure that everybody's tended to and they're always treated in a friendly manner. So yes, thanks JD. Thank you for being on BizCast Day. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we sign off?
I guess really just for anyone who might like to have a chat with us, I'll give you a couple of links. And I know, Christian, you're going to put this in the show notes, but the AI GENIE website is AIGeniephone.com, AIGeniephone.com. And you can go on there and just have a test call and see how brilliant this is. The other one that I mentioned, which was the Facebook contest formula, you can swipe that idea. You don't have to use me. We charge $997 a month to look after it for everyone. But by the same token, if you just wanted to swipe the idea and do it yourself, that's fine. We tend to get better results because we're doing this in our sleep. But if you wanted to swipe the idea, that's fine. Just go to FB Contest Formula, FB as in Facebook, fbcontestformula.com. And I guess the only other thing that I would suggest, if anyone wants to have a 30-minute Zoom call with me, absolutely free, then just book a call with me. Wait for this, getmorejd.com. Okay, so my name is John Dwyer, but I'm known as JD. So just go to getmorejd.com and you can book a call with me.
Right. And where can our listeners learn more about the Institute of Wow?
Yeah, the main website is theinstituteofwow.com. Okay, so make sure you put the word the in front. So it's the Institute of Wow, WOW.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you, JD, for joining us on BizCast. You shared a lot of extremely helpful tips that'll help the small business world boost their image and offer more incentives to their customers. So to all the small business owners out there who are listening, take this advice. It's going to separate you from the crowd like you've never expected. Don't be one of the same other companies out there that you're competing with. Be different. Give your potential new customers that Happy Meal toy and watch them tell the world about you. You're going to see sales skyrocket like crazy. Thanks again, JD. You have a great day. I certainly hope to have you on BizCast again for a future episode.
Christian, one thing that silly Billy me forgot, I talked up the vacations, but I didn't give you the vacation site. If anyone wants to have a look at that, just go to vacationsincentive.com and you'll see all of our American stuff there. So it's vacations plural, vacationsincentive.com. And at the moment, you'll see on there that the vacations are $97 per voucher. But because we are doing this podcast, all you've got to do is just give us Christian's name and you'll get it for half the $97. Okay.
That's a great offer for all CDG BizCast listeners out there. So if you're thinking about taking a vacation, JD has just shared where you can go to find out more.
My pleasure, Christian. Thank you very much for having me as a guest. It's been a real treat.
Yes, it has. It was certainly a pleasure having you on today. Thanks again for sharing all of your wonderful wisdoms and insights. And thank you, audience, for listening to the CDG BizCast. We hope you have a great day.